Yo, what's going on, y'all? So this morning, for the first, I want to say 45 minutes to maybe an hour, is just me. And then Nick will be joining us a little bit later. And then I hope this isn't the case. I might have to dip out a little bit early. Because I got scheduled. I stupidly scheduled doctor's appointments on a football Sunday. Like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Anyway. Tim, what's going on? John, what's going on? John, what's going on? Lovely day for some football, as always. And today should be a fun day. I mean, you look at the matchups around the league, you don't have a ton of marquee matchups, right? 1 o'clock games, you got the Jets and the Patriots. Should be interesting because it's two teams that now kind of have a look at that division, right? With the Bills kind of faltering, and I mean, Miami's up there too. It's one of the best divisions in football, so even the two worst teams playing each other, still going to be a little bit of a game there. And then also at 1 o'clock, you got that Detroit game, and by Detroit game, I mean Browns-Bills, right? Because the Lions and the Giants also play at 1 o'clock, but who's really excited about that game unless you're a fan of those teams? The Bills and the Browns, a little bit more of an interesting matchup. See how the Bills bounce back from losing 2 in a row, 3 in a row, right? So that's interesting. And then in the 4 o'clock window, Cowboys-Vikings might be the matchup of the week. Vikings were in the matchup of the week last week, which might be the matchup of the year thus far. This week they get another tough matchup in the Cowboys, who they look to be getting OBJ, right? The rumors is that he's going to an NFC team. He's not going to an AFC team. But you also got the Bengals and the Steelers. Not quite the high-flying matchup that we've seen in the past, but still should be a good game. And then, of course, the marquee matchup for today, Chiefs and Chargers. We're all looking forward to that one. And then Cardinals and 49ers on Monday. And as far as the news that has come down since we last streamed, you know, the 6 to 8 last night. But we got some news. Mark Andrews is expected to play, so you can fire him up. He's still kind of a game time decision, right? But he's expected to be active. That's the news. And then as far as Mike Williams, ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Mike Williams with an ankle, questionable, quote unquote, expects to play against the Chiefs. He got in a full practice on Friday. I think he's going to be good to go. I feel comfortable putting him in my lineup. Even if I don't have, an adequate swerve, hopefully I have Josh Palmer or, somebody else I can swerve to. But I feel comfortable with Mike Williams. More comfortable than Keenan Allen. The report is that Keenan Allen, whereas Mike Williams, quote unquote, expects to play, Keenan Allen, quote unquote, plans to play. We've seen Mike Williams on the field. We haven't seen Keenan Allen on the field yet. And honestly, with the thing that he's dealing with, the soft tissue injury, there's a risk of an in-game setback. So I don't know how comfortable I am with Palmer. I mean, with Keenan Allen playing today, I'm not putting him right in my lineup with no backup plan, kind of like I am with Mike Williams, right? So if you're planning on playing Keenan Allen, it might just be better to roll with your backup plan if your backup plan is playing in any of the windows before that 8 o'clock window tonight. If you want to risk it, you could. But to me, with Keenan Allen, it's just something about soft tissue injuries with an older wide receiver gives me pause. I'm fine with him going off on my bench if I have an adequate swerve, right? Devontae Adams, he's expected to play Week 11 against the Broncos, was dealing with an abdomen thing. He should be fine. In terms of other injury-related news, Gus Edwards is not expected to play today. So it's another Kenyon Drake day. And honestly, I think he's an RB2 for today. And then Dallas Goedert expects to return during the regular season. Not something that impacts today, but still relevant news. Najee Harris expects to get the bulk of the carries in Week 11. We'll see. It's been pretty clear that Jaylen Warren has been the better running back of the two on a per-touch basis throughout the entire season. and Cooper Kupp. The reports are from Adam Schefter that the Rams need a bounce back to give Cooper Kupp any chance to return this year. So really, unless they're in any sort of contention over the next 2 weeks, they're just going to shut him down until 2023, which is honestly the smart move. Honestly, the smart move with a franchise player who's aging like that. But let's get into some of these questions. Again, Nick will be joining us in about 45 minutes, and I might have to dip a little early today. But regardless, let's get into these. You already know Tim and John. Good to see you. John Pagurayan, happy Sunday. Need to start one. Skowronek, Terrace Marshall, or Michael Carter. I think I'm going Michael Carter. Now, it's a tough matchup against the Pats. They got a good run defense. They got a good defense overall. But Michael Carter still should, he has a chance to put up high-end RB3 flex with some RB2 upside. And look, I'm just, Terrace Marshall was a nice story for a little bit there. I don't trust any pass catchers with Baker Mayfield. Straight up, I don't trust any pass catchers with Baker Mayfield. I could get burned there. I've been burned the other way, where I trusted pass catchers with Baker Mayfield this year and have been burned. So I'm totally off Baker Mayfield. In terms of Skowronek, he's a desperation guy for me. And since I have a de facto starter in Carter, even though, he might be sharing a little bit more of the workload with James Robinson on a play-to-play basis, more than we might think, he's at least still the RB1 in his offense. Marshall is the wide receiver 2 or 3 on a bad team with a terrible quarterback, and Skowronek's kind of the same, right? So I'm just playing the de facto RB1 in his own offense, calling it a day. Tim Shields, you're a commissioner in one league, and you have 2 people in your league that are brothers. One is 7-3, lost Cup, and is trading Mooney, Elliott, and London for Metcalf and Cook 4-6. Is this collusion? Ooh, all right. Mooney, Elliott, and London for Metcalf and Dalvin Cook. I mean, is it a redraft league? If it is a redraft league, it's close to being. I'm not going to say this is collusion. It's close. You can paint a picture to me where this is some kind of collusion. They tried to make it look even enough to where you could argue either way. But the fact that they're brothers, the fact that there is this disparity in record, and the disparity in the talent that they're trading away. Like Mooney's arrow's looking up, but Elliott's arrow's looking down, and London hasn't really performed since week 3. Metcalf has been a wide receiver 1 all year, and Dalvin Cook has been a RB1 all year. So it's hard to say that this is collusion, but it's very close, man. Like I would be having conversations with the rest of my league. It's not clear cut, but I would definitely be having conversations with the rest of my league. With collusion discussions, like my opinion really doesn't matter. You got to you're the commissioner. It's on you, unfortunately. You got to talk to everybody in your league, get what everybody's thinking in terms of this deal in your league, put it to a vote. Honestly, if more than 2 people think that it's collusion out of a 12-team league, I'm not even going majority rules. If it's more than 1 person outside of you, the commissioner, who identifies this as collusion, you got to address it, right? Because you don't want, it's your job as the commissioner to keep the group together. And if somebody needs to be kicked out, it's your job as commissioner to find the replacement, right? So it's just part of a larger discussion. To me, that looks suspect at least. So to me, I'm having the larger discussion, but I'm not immediately pointing fingers and saying that that's collusion. But it looks lopsided for sure. And they're brothers and on opposite sides of the scorecards, right? So Got to take a lot into account. Crumply Heads, good to see you. Defense, Denver or Broncos, rest of season. Well, for this week, it's the Broncos. Rest of season, you know, it's kind of tough to say. Jets got Bears, Vikings, Bills, Detroit, Jags, Seahawks, Dolphins. And the Broncos have Panthers, Ravens, Chiefs, Cardinals, Rams, Chiefs, Chargers. Considering nobody really, I hope you're not playing in Week 18. Look, the Broncos have to play the Chiefs twice. But the Jets have to play the Bills and the Vikings. And the Bears, who are a tough matchup right now. I mean, they're kind of even. I want both, and I want to, you know, be able to switch between the matchups. That's kind of how I operate once we're getting into playoff time. I want two defenses, and I'm kind of playing off each other, trying to see which one has the best matchup for today and rolling with them. I haven't rolled with one defense into the fantasy playoffs in 4 to 5 years. So I want both. And it's kind of hard to have a rest of season discussion. If you want it for today, Denver. But honestly, rest of season, I want both. John Alvarez, 12-team PPR, sitting at 6-4. Your bench has Palmer, Josh Robinson, Wan'Dale Robinson. Would you drop anybody to pick up MVS or to stash Julio or Marquise Goodwin? Not stashing Julio or Marquise Goodwin. I like the idea of picking up MVS. I guess if you have to drop somebody, it would be Wan'Dale. Because I like the idea of holding on to a direct handcuff who has some standalone value in Robinson. Palmer, like I want to hold on to him until I see everybody in this offense ahead of him healthy. Like until it's Everett's healthy, Allen's healthy, Williams is healthy, and Eckler continues to stay healthy. I want some kind of share of Palmer. MVS, at least if you need somebody for this week, MVS is a start this week with no Juju, no Mecole Hardman. Tony's, 2 weeks in, so he might still be on a little bit of a pitch count, right? Because he might not know the whole playbook. So MVS has some viability this week. In terms of a stash rest of season, he does get an uptick over the next 4 games because of Marquise or Mecole Hardman not being in. But, then it's kind of preferential. But I think I'm dropping Wan'Dale for MVS, especially if I need to start this week. Corey, you need one flex PPR, Curtis Samuel or Slayton. You do have Barkley going if that matters. How has Curtis Samuel been? Because Curtis Samuel started off the year hot. He's the current wide receiver 19. Not a great week last week, but played Philly. The week before, 15 points. The week before that, almost 10 points. The week before that, 10 points. I think I'm going Curtis Samuel. He just has a higher floor and higher ceiling. Going Samuel. X Levi, good to see you. Pick 4 for full PPR. DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, Rondale Moore, Pittman, and Allen Robinson. Rondale Moore, Devonta Smith, Pittman. And it's ugly here between DJ Moore and Allen Robinson, and it tells you how little I trust in Baker Mayfield that I'm going Allen Robinson over DJ Moore. There should be a large target share vacated with no Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson, you don't be expecting any point totals in the teens, but he should have the floor to get you, 8 points. And if he does score a touchdown, you're looking at, significantly more than that. So I think I'm just going Allen Robinson, not thinking that there's going to be a huge offensive output from him. But I think he's a better play this week than DJ Moore if Baker's the quarterback moving forward. John Alvarez, hopefully the Bills can drop this one too and stay in the back of the East. No. What are you talking about? You can't see me right now. I'm wearing a Bills hoodie. I need the Bills to start picking up some wins and start looking better on offense in the second quarter. And John, should you drop Palmer? Again, I'm not dropping Palmer until everybody else in this offense is healthy. Like, Palmer was seeing work when Mike Evans was healthy, or Mike Williams was healthy, when Gerald Everett was healthy. With no Allen, he was performing as the wide receiver 2 in this offense. So until I see that role, taken away from him because of Allen's healthy, I still want Palmer on my squad. Jacob Anders, good morning. You need 1 running back and 1 flex in PPR. Drake, Swift, and Patterson. They're all close. I think I want... What's the fantasy points against for these guys? Give me a sec here. I want to look into this. All right. So you got the Ravens, Drake. They're going up against the Panthers, and the Panthers are giving up the 5th most running back points on a week-to-week basis. So that's enticing. That is. The Lions and the Giants are playing each other. Detroit gives up the 7th most fantasy points to running backs, but we're looking at the other side of the coin there. The Giants give up the 26th most fantasy points to opposing running backs, so we don't want to go there. And the Falcons are playing the Bears. And the Bears are one of the only teams that give up more points, on a percentage basis than the Carolina Panthers. So it's really Patterson or Drake. And I think the Ravens run away with this game. And I think they have to, by nature of that, use Drake a lot. So normally I would be going Patterson here. Patterson has had some dud weeks lately. What did he do last week? I know he had a dud week 2 weeks ago. No, he had a good week 2 weeks ago. He had a dud week last week. Ceiling play Cordell Patterson, floor play Drake. I know that's not what you want to hear for that running back spot, but if you're down in those projections and you need a boom week, go Patterson. If you're fine, if you're pretty close in the projections and just need the points, I think Drake is fine. And then I would go Boyd in the I think I would go Boyd in the flex. In PPR, he has a high floor. And George, are you really starting Fields over Burrow today? Yo, honestly, bro, I think I'm starting Fields over everybody not named Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes. I mean, you look at what he's done over the last 5 weeks. QB8 overall in week 6. QB5 overall in week 7. QB5 overall in week 8. QB1 overall in week 9. QB1 overall in week 10. And this week he has ATL. He should be able to put up some points against ATL. So I'm going back to Justin Fields until further notice. And I'm really kicking myself because I traded away Justin Fields for not nothing, but traded away Justin Fields earlier this year, and I'm kicking myself because he looks great and I need him. Crumply Heads, how do you feel about starting Trey McBride this week? If I absolutely have to, I'm doing it. But I'm hoping that there are other options out there. I'm hoping that Foster Moreau is out there. I'm hoping that a Hayden Hurst is out there. I'm hoping that somebody dropped Dawson Knox. I'm hoping that I can pick up a Greg Dulcich if he's out there. I doubt he is. I think I would play like Juwan Johnson over him. I would be playing like if it's a choice between Kylan Granson and Trey McBride, then I'm going Trey McBride. If it's a choice between Hunter Henry and Trey McBride, then it's a toss-up for me. But if I have Juwan Johnson, if I have even Logan Thomas, if I have Taysom Hill, Isaiah Likely with no Rashad Bateman should still get some work. Any of those guys, I'm rolling with those guys over Trey McBride because I need to see it once this week. Can he finish as a top 12 tight end? Absolutely. I need to see it once. Tim Shields, do I start Paris Campbell or Deontay? Deontay has no ceiling. He has no ceiling. And this might be the week where we see it because they need to keep pace with the Bengals. But again, the Bengals don't have Chase, so maybe they don't put up as many points as we're used to with the Bengals. And the last time the Bengals and the Steelers met, TJ Watt was healthy, which he is in this game. I think Burrow threw 5 interceptions or something, right? So counting on the other side of the ball in terms of Deontay to keep the score up, it might not even be the case. It's tough swerving to Paris Campbell, but Paris Campbell over the last, I think, 5 weeks has been a wide receiver 1. I'm not saying that's going to continue, but 15 points, 18 points, 8 points, 2 points, and 17 points. Over the last 5 weeks, he's been like wide receiver 14, 13, 12, something like that. So Paris Campbell. I feel like we say it every stream a couple of times. Can't believe we're here with Deontay, but I'd rather start Paris Campbell. Squilliam Garvez, good morning to you too. Probably going to start Kenyon Drake over Swift, right? Then wondering about wide receiver, Pittman v. Deontay, v. Keenan Allen, v. Josh Palmer. Flex open, you're thinking about putting Swift in there. At wide receiver, how many spots you got at wide receiver? But yeah, I mean, if I have a running back spot and a flex spot, I'm putting Kenyon Drake and Swift in there with those choices. And then Pittman is in my wide receiver 1 spot. If I have 2 spots there, Pittman's in at 1. In the number 2 spot, Deontay has been. We talked yesterday about Deebo Samuel and the issues that he's had this year and not being the same wide receiver. Deontay has 2 weeks above 9 fantasy points on the season, and those are a 10-point week and a 12-point week in week 2 and 3, where he finished wide receiver 35 and wide receiver 29. He has no ceiling. The wide receiver 8 that we saw last year, complete aberration. He's the wide receiver 40 and has no spike weeks. So I'm not going back to Deontay. I'm kind of done. Considering you have Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer, I think I'm just going Keenan Allen, knowing that if I get some bad news on Keenan Allen, I can swerve to Josh Palmer. And I'm not playing Deontay until further notice. I'm sorry. I'm there. For a while, he was getting the usage. The offense stunk. Now he's not even getting the usage. Five targets last week. 1 week sample size, maybe he gets back up to 9 or 10. But even then, when he had 9 or 10 targets, 5 receptions for 35 yards, 5 receptions for 42 yards, 5 receptions for 28 yards. Because Kenny Pickett is a good QB on the NFL level. I think he has some talent. He's a good QB. No deep ball. We thought when we were going from Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett that maybe we would see more deep balls in this offense, and that would help, Chase Claypool and when he was still on the team, and George Pickens. No deep ball in this offense. And there are less pass attempts going around because at least Ben Roethlisberger kept the pass attempts up, even though the ADOT was down. The ADOT might be a little bit up from where Roethlisberger was at with Pickett, but not by much. I don't trust Deontay. Enrico Baptiste, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Rest of season, Pickens, Watson, or Tony? Oh, that's tough. I like all 3 of them. Love the talent for the majority of them. You can't hate on the workload that Tony is walking into, right? With no Mecole Hardman. We don't know how long this Juju absence is going to be. They need a playmaker. They've been utilizing him. He has looked good, like a completely different player. We just talked about Kenny Pickett and the lack of explosion in this Steelers offense. So honestly, like, I love Pickens. If I have Pickens, I'm playing him every week until further notice, because I think he is the true wide receiver one in this offense now, not Deontay. But given what Watson has done over the last 2 weeks and the role that is ahead of him on the depth chart, like, his role isn't going anywhere. I don't think Dubs is coming back and taking any of his work. So I think he's ahead of Tony. So to me, it'd go Watson, Tony, Pickens. But they're all pretty closely bunched. And, you know, a week ago, I probably would have said Pickens on top. Right? This might be a little bit of recency bias with Watson and Tony, just because they're both coming off 2 good weeks. Pickens is coming off a good season. This offense just that he's playing in just does not have the quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers or a Pat Mahomes. There's just a difference between those two, newsflash, and Pickett. So by nature of that, the QB makes the distinction here for me. I want Watson and Tony over Pickens. But in terms of Watson or Tony, Watson rest of season, Tony for the next 4 games. And then we'll see. There's a chance Tony is just better than Watson rest of season, regardless when Mecole Hardman comes back. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you very much for the super. So Squilliam, 2 spots. So Pittman and Keenan Allen, and then Drake at RB, Swift at flex. I'm fine with that. And Keenan Allen, you can swerve. Just keep an eye on the news. You can swerve in the case that he isn't playing in Josh Palmer's. Josh Palmer's the guy. Tim Shields, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being in here. Tommy Talaga, need 2 of 4 wide receivers on a flex, full PPR. Michael Carter, Adam Thielen, DPJ, or Damian Harris. Need 2 of the wide receiver and then a flex. So you need 3 of these guys, basically. Michael Carter from me over Damian Harris. Just because Michael Carter is the 1A, Damian Harris is the 1B. And honestly, he just might be the number 2. And then between Adam Thielen or DPJ, like, that's actually tough. Adam Thielen. DPJ is very close behind, but, like, in Dallas, they might have to put up some points. Adam Thielen hasn't been what he's been in years past with the amount of touchdowns that he scores. But 7 targets in the last 3 games, and then before that, 8 targets, and before that, 7 targets, before that, 9 targets, before that, 8 targets. I mean, he has a 7-target floor. He's reached 7 targets in all but 1 game this year in week 1. And you know that we can throw out week 1 because week 1 is an aberration every year. So the ceiling games haven't been there for him. I guess I'd say ceiling play DPJ, floor play Thielen, but I think I'm just going floor play because, I mean, a 7-target floor in an ascending offense where they might not be able to key in on Justin Jefferson as much as they have in past games. I think I'm going Adam Thielen there. So, and if you need 2 of the 4 wide receivers, there's only 2 wide receivers. So you're playing both of them? And then you need a flex, so Michael Carter, odd man out, Damian Harris. If I answered that question wrong, let me know. Yeah. Gregory Palmer, Tony Pollard, Najee Harris. I mean, floor play Najee. If you want to go for a ceiling play this week, then you can go Tony Pollard. But, and honestly, if you've been paying attention to these streams, I usually go the high upside guy. So if I have a choice between a floor play and a ceiling guy, I'm going the ceiling play guy. 9 times out of 10. So to me, I'm going Tony Pollard regardless of what happens with Zeke. I know the news coming out today on Roto World or whatever was that Najee Harris would get more work this week. I'll believe it when I see it. And even if he does, how effective is he going to be? I want the guy who's, hyper effective on his targets and touches, might be the most effective running back in the league on a per touch basis in Tony Pollard versus, maybe the exact opposite in Harris. Again, can't believe we're there, but Pollard over Harris for me, man. John, would you start MVS over Curtis Samuel or Palmer then? I think I would start MVS over Palmer. And if I needed a spike week, I would start MVS over Curtis Samuel. But if, again, I'm fine with taking a floor week with some upside in his own right, Curtis Samuel is good for that. But if you are down bad and you need a lot of points, I mean, there's a chance MVS could get you, he could have a 2-touchdown game today. He could have over 100 yards today. Because no Juju, no Mecole Hardman, had 13 points last week, had 12.6 points in week 7, 12 points in week 5. We could see a ceiling week here where he gets back up there. You could see an 8-target game. The last time he had 8 targets, he had a wide receiver 20 finish. So, I guess the safe play is still Curtis Samuel. But if you absolutely need the ceiling week, and honestly, in this case, I think I'd go MVS. I think I'd go MVS. This feels like a ceiling game for him. But if you need the floor, Curtis Samuel. Grant Fontenot, PPR, which running back should be my RB2, Pierce or Montgomery? Pierce. But it's close. I want to have Montgomery in there too this week with no Khalil Herbert moving forward. I want a piece of Montgomery. But I think I'm going Pierce. He has been their entire offense. Can't say the same for Montgomery. Sideline star, McLaurin or Olave? McLaurin. He's performed like a low-end wide receiver 1. Olave has been more of a mid-tier wide receiver 2 since week 5. And Squilliam, random defense question. Ravens D against Panthers or Patriots number 1 D against the Jets? Yeah, I think Baltimore is the Ravens D this week might be the number 1 defense on the week going up against the Panthers. The Patriots D is probably the better unit. The Jets is not, that's not a hard offense to kind of key in on. But we're talking about Baker Mayfield and the Panthers here with no CMC. I think the Ravens D is my number 1 defense right now. And John, let's agree to disagree. But hey, you got to be happy with your team thus far, right? Madi Kubaisi, help me this season on the line. Do I start Higbee or Kittle? I'm worried the 49ers will blow out the Cardinals and Kittle will keep blocking. Higbee with the horrible matchup and Kittle with the amazing matchup. Look, I mean, prior to last week, Kittle, I think he was the tight end 6, the tight end 1, and the tight end 6 in 3 consecutive weeks prior to last week. No, I know some of those games, that first tight end 6 week in week 6 came without CMC. But CMC was in there for week 7 when he finished tight end 1, and he was in there for week 8 when he finished tight end 6. And then he had a dud week, tight end 29, right? He goes up against Arizona, and Arizona, I think they give up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Let me double check that. Yeah, Arizona gives up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing tight ends, second only to the Seahawks, and they give up 3 more fantasy points than the number 3 defense in that category. They give up 16 fantasy points against on an average game-to-game basis against opposing tight ends. The 3rd best is Detroit, who gives up 13.7. So they're almost a full 3 points ahead in terms of what they give up in point totals towards the position. If there was a week to start Kittle, it's this week. I love Higbee's floor moving forward with no Cooper Kupp. It's probably one of the highest floor tight ends in the league. But this week, I'm going Kittle, dude. Kittle should have a tight end 3 finish this week. And if he doesn't, it's a complete aberration. Because the analytics based on this year say that this is a week to be playing Kittle, and he's still one of the 3 best tight ends in the league. Rico, I would do that. Pick up Rachaad White. If you don't need to, I mean, you're not playing Gus Edwards. There's a chance J.K. Dobbins comes into the fold sooner than later. Rachaad White is that guy. Just pick him up. Big Money Joe, 12-man PPR. Need 2. Who do I start at wide receiver? Kadarius, Sutton, D-Hop, Gabe Davis, or Mooney? Only 2 needed. Well, is D-Hop playing? Did we get any good news on D-Hop? D-Hop is questionable for Monday night. And none of those guys that you can swerve to are also playing on Monday night. The thing is, like, if he questionable tag on Saturday, missed practice Thursday with a hamstring injury before returning Friday. So he did return on Friday to practice. It's just a questionable tag. This is close. Well, at your wide receiver 2, I think I go Sutton, even though he hasn't had a good week a good year this year thus far. Really, no Judy, and you have to look back to when he was playing with no Judy earlier in the season. He was performing like a low-end wide receiver 1, and we were all pretty high on Cortland Sutton. And then Judy came back into the fold and he disappeared. Right, that's been happening his entire career. But wide receiver 15, wide receiver 20, wide receiver 18 with no Judy, 10 targets, 11 targets, 7 targets, 11 targets. Like, I think I'm going back to that. And you look at last week, 11 targets. He didn't have a huge week, 9 points, but 11 targets. I think I'm going back to that as my wide receiver 2. And, you know, in your wide receiver 1, like, who do you have that you can swerve to in the event that D-Hop can't go? Because I want to be playing D-Hop. You can't swerve to Davis, right? Because Davis is the 1 o'clock game. And I doubt we're going to hear anything definitive by the end of the night tonight on D-Hop. I think I put D-Hop in there hoping I hear something on DeAndre Hopkins before 8:20 p.m. today. And if I don't, I swerve to Kadarius and put him in at 8:20 tonight against the Chargers and just roll with him and Sutton. I want to play D-Hop if I can because he's a clear-cut wide receiver 1 when healthy and when in the game. But I don't know if he's going to be healthy and playing. So you got to make contingency plans there. So I'm playing Sutton in my wide receiver 2 slot. I have D-Hop in there up until probably 8 o'clock tonight. If I don't get any good news on D-Hop, I'm swerving to Kadarius. David Banks, Algiers or Warren at RB2? What did Algier do last week? I'm not the hugest Algier fan, but if it's a choice between him or Jalen Warren, I think I gotta go Algier. But I'm not high on him. He seems to only have, high-end RB2 viability when Cordarrelle Patterson is out. And Cordarrelle Patterson has been playing for the past 2 weeks. So Algier, do you have anybody else you can go to, David? Who else is on the wire? Let me know. If I had to pick between the 2, I think I go Algier, but I'm not expecting much. Hoping for 10 points. And would you play Dulcich over Pitts this week? Yes, Rico, I would. Dulcich over Pitts, easy this week. Tim Shields, start Curtis Samuel or Garrett Wilson in the flex. Garrett Wilson. 2 wide receivers PPR currently had Christian Watson playing, and the other is Diggs. Chase on IR. Sadly, need a win this week. What would you say at this point? Watson is touchdown dependent? Well, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson in the flex. Yeah, Diggs and Samuel. You're playing Diggs, obviously, and not Samuel and Watson. Watson already played. Yeah, he's touchdown dependent, but dude, that's fine. Like, look at what we were hoping Robert Tonyan was gonna be in this offense. A touchdown magnet, catching 11 touchdowns on the season like he did 2 to 3 years ago. Look at what is vacated in this offense in Devontae Adams. I think he scored something like 29 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. The touchdown guy is missing from this offense and has been. I think they can do fine picking up yardage with Aaron Jones and Alan Lazard and stuff like that. But the thing that this team is missing is their touchdown guy, the deep ball receiver who comes down with it in the end zone or for the long bomb that Devontae Adams would do seemingly once a game. Watson's 6'4". So I don't care if he's touchdown dependent. I've been hoping that he would be touchdown dependent all season. I never thought he was going to be a yardage monster. I think that's something that he grows into if he gets that. But immediately, I was hoping that this guy would be touchdown dependent. And he has been thus far. If you remember, the first week of the year, first play from scrimmage for the Packers, long bomb to Christian Watson in the end zone, and he dropped it. But that's not something any wide receiver in the NFL normally drops. I think that was just a, first game in, first play, head not quite in the game yet. He's there. I don't care if he's touchdown dependent. He's a wide receiver. If he's touchdown dependent and continues to get these touchdowns, he's a wide receiver too. So, yeah, I don't care if he's touchdown dependent. I still want him on my team. So be happy that you got him. Continue to play him. But I would be playing Garrett Wilson in the flex. Gary Boudreaux, PPR Likely or Moreau. I like Likely this week because no Rashad Bateman for the foreseeable future. So he should be able to continue to pick up some wide receiver reps. But Andrews is playing again this week, so he takes a little bit of a step back. Moreau, I would go Moreau. He just seems like the more solid option this week. I would go Moreau. Tim, you have Michael Carter and J-Rob and traded Pittman, Clyde, and Boyd for Chase the week before he got hurt, and now you're trading Slayton and J-Rob to get Boyd back. Slayton and J-Rob for Boyd is fine. I'm cool with that. Pittman, Clyde, and Boyd, honestly, for Chase, still fine. Pittman's nothing but slump weeks. Now he has gets a little bit of an uptick in targets, and the quality of those targets gets a little bit better with Matt Ryan playing, but CEH has completely disappeared from the offense. And you got Boyd back. So it's Pittman, Clyde, Slayton, and J-Rob for Chase. It sounds like a lot of players there, but the majority of those players, like Clyde, is waiver wire fodder. Slayton, you probably just picked him up off of waivers. And you can probably get a comparable guy. DPJ, Nico Collins, something like that. So really you gave up Michael Pittman and James Robinson for Chase. That's the win. Sometimes it's you gotta, if you're dealing with a situation like that, you gotta look at the whole thing in its entirety. Yes, it's 2 trades, but you got one of those players back. So if you look at it on one trade and weed out, the ancillary pieces that don't mean anything, like Clyde and kind of Slayton, you come up looking out fine. Joe Kingsley, Goff in a windy game versus Russell without his wide receivers. If it's a choice between that, man, Russell Wilson, but I'm not confident in either of them. Not only is Goff in a windy game, lost Hawkinson, Swift is hurt, so not a full-time player. Amon-Ra's back, but like, yeah, I'm not confident about Goff the way that I was early in the year. Tommy Talaga, I think we got this question already. Yeah, I think I asked you to clarify it a little bit, but need 2 out of the 4 players. You need a wide receiver and a flex. Got you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I misunderstood that question before. Adam Thielen for me at wide receiver, just because I really like his floor. And I don't know how much higher of a ceiling he has. But I don't know how much higher, like if you need a ceiling week, maybe DPJ, but really anything outside of that, then Thielen. And then I'm going Michael Carter in the flex. Or is it PPR? I might just start both of those wide receivers. Harris and Carter got tough matchups this week, man. Yeah, I think I'm going both of those wide receivers, especially if it's PPR. Goat998 facing a tough decision. Connor or Pollard, full PPR. I mean, Connor isn't a efficient running back, but I think you got to start him considering they just gave away Benjamin and replaced him with a 28-year-old Corey Coleman. So Connor, even though I really like Pollard this week, I think Connor is just, you got to rank him higher. Edward Reyes, how do you feel about DJ Chark today? I mean, to Joe Kingsley's point, Goff is playing in a windy game, and it's Chark's first game back. Now, no Josh Reynolds in this game, so it's Amon-Ra and then Chark. Those are the weapons if he wants to pass the ball, unless he's going to Brock Wright or James Mitchell at tight end. So Chark has a decent... He probably has a decent target workload this week. In a windy matchup, I don't know how often they're going to be able to hook up downfield. I think he's a wide receiver 4, a boom-bust wide receiver 4. And Taz Krasi, Schultz or Komet at tight end. Thanks for joining us. Schultz, because he's just he's super safe and has the ceiling. Like Komet has, yes, those 2 touchdown games, man, they're enticing. But Dalton Schultz is about as safe as they come. Michael Gallup has no role in this offense anymore. Dalton Schultz, since coming back in week 8 and week 10, had their bye in week 9, but the tight end 9 and the tight end 3, 7 and 8 targets in back-to-back weeks, 6 receptions each in back-to-back weeks, cleared 74 yards in week 8 and scored a touchdown in week 9. So, Schultz. And Brady Zabludil. Sorry, I can't read. Start 2. Cordarrelle, James Robinson or Jamal Williams. Cordarrelle and Jamal Williams. For sure. Pittman or Pickens this week, Mike. I am going Pittman. With Matt Ryan coming back, and they got a matchup, I think, against the Eagles, so they're going to need to keep pace, even though he might be locked down by a Darius Slay. I still think I go Pittman over Pickens. And Joe Kingsley need 2. Boyd, Mike Williams, James Conner, half PPR. I think I go the last 2. I think I go Mike Williams, knowing that he is set to start, and then James Conner, who should be right on that RB1 borderline this week, just based off of usage. Edon Ontiveros have a pretty tough start sit today. Start 3. Swift, Mike Williams, Sutton, Tony, and Isaiah Pacheco, full PPR. Mike Williams is in, and if by any chance he doesn't start, then you can swerve to Tony and Pacheco, because you got 3 players playing in that late window, right? If Mike Williams is playing, then to me, it's Mike Williams, Sutton, and between Tony and I think I go Tony. Full PPR. Yeah. Start Mike Williams, Sutton, and Tony. And if by any chance Mike Williams does not play, you can swerve to having Isaiah Pacheco in there. But best of luck. Mako J37, do I start Pollard or Melvin Gordon at RB2? ETN and Walker are on buys for me, and Aaron Jones is my other running back. Start Pollard over Melvin Gordon for the rest of the season. If you have to make that choice, if Walker and ETN are at all not playing for you, then you can continue to roll out Pollard with confidence. Ray Gamer, start 2 in standard. Patterson versus the Bears, Tony versus the Chargers, Boyd versus the Steelers, or Debo versus the Cardinals. Patterson, he's in a committee, but it is a revenge game for him. And in standard, edge goes to the running backs, so I want to start him. And if it's a choice between Tony, Boyd, or Debo, Debo has not been the same player this year. But I think I gotta go back to Debo there. I talked about it yesterday. I want to play Tony wherever I have him, but if it's a choice between Tony and Debo, despite what I've been saying recently about Debo not being really intrigued by him based off of what he's done in 2022, I still think you got to roll with him. So Patterson and Debo, especially in standard, because Debo gets some rushing, right? So you get that little bit of added usage in standard. John Alvarez, you're very welcome. Ray Gamer, short week, no Juju or Hardman this week for Tony. Mahomes will know who his targets are. Throws a lot every game. Steelers cornerbacks out. Boyd could have a good game. And who knows about Debo? I'm struggling with this decision. I hope I helped you out there. Still a tier break. Going with Debo and Patterson. Love Tony and Boyd this week, but in standard, that's the way I'm going. Tim, if you were to bet, would you say Michael Carter is over under 10 full fantasy full PPR points today? I think he's over, but just barely. But I do think he's over. Let's see. 13 points against Baltimore, 7 points against Cleveland, 5 points against Cincy, 3 points against Pittsburgh, but those were all with Breece Hall in there. 16 points against Miami. Ever since he's gotten above 52 snaps per game, which happened in week 7, 8 points, 15 points. Then he gets New England. No, I don't. I think he gets like 9. I think he gets like 9.5. I don't know if he goes over 10 against New England, who 3 weeks ago he played and got 8.1 points, playing 56% of the snaps. And he got 7 targets in that game. So no, I don't think he does. Kyler Owner, do I start Russell Wilson or pick up Colt McCoy and start whichever QB plays Monday? I don't know. I think you just what did Colt McCoy do? If I remember correctly, Colt McCoy in last year's game had a good game, but hyper targeted Ertz, who is no longer in the game plan for him. He had 13 fantasy points last week on 97% of snaps, played the full game on QB 23. I think I'd just go Russell Wilson, and I'm not feeling confident about it. Fendi, do I do this trade? Give up Dameon Pierce, Kadarius Toney, receive Zeke and Amon-Ra? No, I would not do that trade. You're giving up the better running back, and honestly, Kadarius might look a lot like Amon-Ra over the next 4 games. He just might. Tim Shields, playoff schedule. Who would y'all trust all weapons available and healthy, Justin Herbert or Deshaun Watson? Herbert. If all were healthy, if they were both healthy, all weapons available, Herbert. Herbert. Jacob, Olave, Pittman, or Sutton, pick one. Greetings from Germany. Hey, man, greetings from the U.S. to Germany. Shout out. Olave, Pittman, or Sutton, pick one. I don't like. I guess Sutton. Henry Shalcom, full PPR, pick two. Joshua Palmer, MVS, Adam Thielen, Pacheco, or Rondale Moore. I think I'm going with those last two, man. Pacheco and Rondale. Moja Sam, start Zeke, Hunt, or Kyron Williams. I think if given those choices, I'm going to go Zeke, and I don't feel good about it. Given those choices, I'm going Zeke. Tim, you have Higbee. Do I drop Everett and pick up Thielen 10-team full PPR? It depends if you need to play him this week. And what the tight end position kind of looks like on the waiver wire too. In 10-team, I mean, do you think you can just leave Everett there and you can pick him up again in a week or two when you need him? What's the state of the tight end position in your league? And what's the state of your roster? When getting closer to the playoffs, do like to roster like two of each of the skill positions. Like I'll roster two defenses. I might not roster two kickers, but I'll roster two tight ends that I like moving into the fantasy playoffs. Not in a one QB, I'm not rostering two QBs, but I mean, I am trying to get two tight ends. I am trying to get two defenses on my squad. So I think I would just stay pat unless I needed Thielen. And my wide receivers are hurting. Or my wide receivers are hurting. If Thielen can come in and be my wide receiver 4, then I'm doing it. If he comes in and he's my wide receiver 6, I'd rather have Everett for the playoffs. Baby Santa, Keenan or Jacoby have PPR. Keenan if he plays, like, and that's of course the easy answer. And Jacoby, I think he's playing in the 1:00 matchup, so you really won't know. Is there anybody else that you can swerve to in the event that you go Keenan Allen? Like, is a Josh Palmer available? Any ancillary pieces, Justin Watson or anything from the Chiefs? Is there anybody on Monday night that you can pick up from the Cardinals or the Niners? Because I want to play Keenan over Jacoby. But, I don't want to be stuck where I'm playing him and playing a 0. So I want to be able to have somebody else. And if I can't pick up anybody, then I'm just rolling Jacoby. But if there's literally anybody, Justin Watson, Josh Palmer, anybody, I'm doing that. Marco, Foreman, yo, bro, Foreman or Pollard? I am in this position and I'm going Pollard, regardless of what happens with Zeke. Foreman the Ravens could go up in this game, and Foreman gets phased out of the offense. Pollard is never going to get phased out of the offense. He's just not. Oh, Aquas, tough decision. You're 5-5. Your running back this week is Pierce because ETN is on bye. Najee or Foreman for RB2? Najee for the floor. And if you think that the Panthers with Baker Mayfield can at all keep up with the Ravens, with no Rashad Bateman, with no Gus Edwards, Mark Andrews coming back, then you play Foreman. Najee doesn't have a ceiling, but at least he has a floor. If you're worried that Foreman is going to bust out for you, then Najee. a report did come out today that they were going to try to get him more work. But over the past 3 weeks that Najee has played, 9.5 PPR fantasy points, 8.6 half PPR fantasy points, and 9.9 half PPR fantasy points, playing around 70% of the snaps. Not enticing. His high watermark on the season is an 11.9 fantasy point week. So it'll get you in between 9 and 11 fantasy points. If you want more than that, if your matchup is tough, then Foreman. If you think that with Pierce you're fine, you're looking at the other team and you think Pierce, you're thinking, I think Pierce, he's a solid bet for anywhere from 15 to 20. Najee is anywhere from 8 to 10. Foreman is anywhere from 5 to 20. So if you are hoping for 2 20-point weeks from your running backs, go Pierce and Foreman. If you think you can slide with Pierce and then 8 to 10 points from Najee, then go Najee. It really is a decision you kind of got to make based off of the situation that you're in, unfortunately. And Ghostly Man, MVS or Mooney. Marquez Valdez-Scantling has a solid role this week. He does, but I think I go Mooney. Ascending offense, Justin Fields is putting it together, and Mooney is his number one target. Mooney. Mike P, PPR League. I know not the best options due to buys, but at my flex, James Robinson, Juwan Johnson, Elijah Moore, not Elijah Moore. Probably not James Robinson. I think I'm going Juwan Johnson. He had a spike week last week and has a couple of 2 touchdown weeks on his hands. Even if they go back to Jameis or if they stick with Andy Dalton, he's still going to be out there. It really doesn't affect him. And over the last 3 weeks, tight end 2, tight end 38, tight end 8, and tight end 4. 17 fantasy points, 2 fantasy points, 11 fantasy points, and 12 fantasy points. I think I'm going Juwan Johnson. I like Juwan Johnson. Jim, full PPR, DJ Moore, MVS, Donta Foreman. I think at that spot, I'm just going Donta Foreman. I know PPR, so MVS gets a little bit of a edge there. It's close. I think I just go Donta Foreman. I like MVS this week, but I think there's just a little bit of a tier break. Z Woodhouse, Kittle or Dulcich? This week, Kittle. But I like Dulcich. A lot. Baby Santa, the only other option you could slot in is Elijah Mitchell. I think I would just go Elijah. You got Keenan Allen. So here's how you could play this. You could put Keenan Allen in there. If you get any bad news about Keenan Allen, slot in Elijah Mitchell because he plays on Monday. Keenan Allen's got that late slot tonight. If news comes out, bad news, he doesn't play, then you can roll with Elijah Mitchell and at least not get a 0 in that play column, right? I'm not going Jacoby, putting Keenan Allen in there, and if you get some bad news, play Elijah Mitchell. BDD, Mike Williams and Hollywood or Olave and Amari Cooper at flex, full PPR. I'm confused by this question. Mike Williams and Hollywood or Olave and Amari Cooper at flex. Reword that question for me. Maybe I'm just brain dead. It seems like you're giving me a trade question, but then asking me who do you put in the flex. The ands and ors have me a little confused. So clarify that question. I want to answer this for you. I don't know what you're trying to say, though. Brock Wild, you have D-Hop and Kyler, both questionable on Monday Night Football, and you can pick up Jimmy G in case Kyler doesn't play. But do I stay with D-Hop? Otherwise, you have Pacheco, Mooney, or Boyd on my bench. I am waiting until 8 o'clock tonight, and if I hear anything that D-Hop is playing, and we might not get that news until tomorrow, you have to expect that. But if by any chance over the next 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, we get any news on D-Hop that's, positive, then you stick with D-Hop moving into Monday. But really, if you don't hear anything, if you don't hear anything about D-Hop over the course of the next 7, 8 hours, just throw Pacheco in there. And then, depending on what happens Monday night with Jimmy G and Kyler, you can play that game too. But I don't want you to end up with a 0 in there in your wide receiver 1 slot with D-Hop, right? Or I guess that's a flex. So if you can just wait it out until about 8 o'clock tonight. If you don't hear anything by 8 o'clock tonight, play Pacheco. TS, do you think Everett will play? If not, Moreau or Juwan Johnson? Moreau is more of just a solid, boring play. If you need the upside, I'd go Juwan Johnson. But Moreau is a solid floor play with some ceiling in his own right. But Juwan Johnson has shown more of a ceiling over the past 4 weeks. So I'm fine going to him too. Do I think Everett will play? No, because he was questionable and then went from questionable to healthy on Friday. And then yesterday went from healthy back to questionable. So that's just trending in the wrong direction, right? So I don't think Everett will play. And I think if I need the upside week, I'm going Juwan Johnson this week. But if I'm fine with the floor week, Moreau and either options are good options. Tim Shields' roster is Herbert, Connor, Gibson, Diggs, Chase, Watson, Higbee, Garrett Wilson, Jets, Bills, Gano, McPherson, Deontay, Curtis Samuel, Jeff Wilson on IR. Jeff Wilson on IR. That can't be right. Hardman and Everett. Or on IR, Hardman and Everett. Got you. Stay pat or drop somebody else for him. And that's Thielen. Connor, Gibson, Diggs, Chase, Watson. Not playing Chase. But you got Deontay and Samuel. No, I think you're fine, man. I like that squad. Maybe you can drop one of your kickers, right? Because that's one thing that I don't do it is roster 2 kickers into the playoffs. 2 defenses, yes. 2 tight ends, usually. But 2 kickers, no. So you can drop whichever one you like less over the next couple of weeks if you want Thielen and would rather play Thielen over Deontay and Curtis Samuel. Well, Chase continues to be out. But you got Garrett Wilson, so you got Diggs, Garrett Wilson, and Watson. So like you're not hurting that wide receiver. And again, you got Deontay and Sam. I don't think you need Thielen. So I think you stay pat unless you want to drop one of your kickers. Baby Santa, you could go get DeAndre Carter. No, man, I think you got your marching orders, at least how I see it. Play Keenan. And if you get any bad news on Keelan, swerve to Elijah Mitchell. Jacob Banner, need 1 running back and 1 flex in PPR. I think we got this question already. I'd go both running backs, I think. And if not, then it's Patterson and Boyd for me. It's preferential who you want to play in the flex and PPR. If you are more apt to go wide receiver in PPR over running back, then go Boyd over Drake. But I'm playing Patterson at RB1 in a revenge game against the Bears. And then I think I'm playing Drake. But in PPR, you could go Boyd too. And honestly, it's such a toss-up. Boyd. Patterson and Boyd. Go Patterson and Boyd. Mike Lopez, Singletary or Gibson? Another tough one, man. And I Singletary, floor, Gibson, ceiling. Singletary, floor, Gibson, ceiling. Johnny Gumbo, Foreman, Patterson, or McKinnon. Patterson's the safer play. Like, Foreman can get you 20 points, but he can get you 3. Patterson can get you 20 points, but he can get you 3. McKinnon, nah, I don't believe in it. It could be a solid target floor, but nah. And I just have a little bit more faith in Patterson. So I'm going Patterson. ZA215, trade Jacobs for Waddle. Or keep who I got. Your wide receivers are Higgins, Gabe Davis, Mike Williams, Rondale Moore, and Tony. Running backs are Barkley, Eckler, Jacobs, Foreman, and Elijah Mitchell. For Waddle, so you would have Higgins, Waddle, Gabe Davis, and then either Mike Will, Rondale Moore, and Tony. Like, I don't think you need to make this deal. But if you want to move from having a pretty good balance everywhere to be a little bit wide receiver heavy, given that it is a wide receiver focused league, and honestly fantasy this year, newsflash, unless you have one of the top 5 running backs, like it was probably a better bet to top 3 running backs. It was probably a better bet to go wide receiver in the first round than running back for the first time in a long time. So I don't hate moving from Jacobs to Waddle. If you got the horses to be able to handle that, and I mean Barkley, Eckler, Foreman, I guess I'd feel a little bit better having Jacobs as my RB3, because I think Higgins, Mike Will's back healthy, Gabe is a boom bust wide receiver 2 at any given week. You got Tony, who should put up wide receiver 2 weeks moving forward. You got Rondale Moore, who for the past 4 weeks has been a wide receiver 2. Like, I don't think you need to make any drastic moves here. Is it a bad deal? No. I just don't think you need to make any drastic moves here. And BDD, there you go. All right, thanks for the clarification. Which duo would you start or mismatch the 4 of them? Got you. Sorry about that. Mike Williams, Hollywood, Olave, and Amari Cooper. I'd play Mike Williams and Amari Cooper. And then if you get any bad news on Mike Williams not being able to play, you can swerve to Hollywood because he plays on Monday instead of Sunday, right? But I would go Mike Williams and Amari Cooper. And I hope that helps. Thank you for the clarification. Sorry about that again. Sad J, top of the morning to you too. Standard, Schultz or Komet today? Schultz. Armani, Keenan Allen, Drake London, or DPJ in the flex. If you want to set it and forget it and not worry about any injuries or anything like that, or any classifications with Keenan Allen, and you don't want to worry about playing that game, just play DPJ in the flex. I'd say just play DPJ in the flex. Tier break though. So if you're down by a lot, and the combination of down by a lot, projected to be down by a lot, and there's somebody that you can pick up from the Chiefs-Chargers game and or the Monday night Cardinals-49ers game, if you can pick up one of those players, then start Keenan Allen. If you can pick up a Justin Watson, if you can pick up a James Palmer or Josh Palmer or something like that. If you can't, then just go DPJ. Confident with that. Joe Fallon, pick 2, running back, Swift, Jamal Williams, or Pacheco, starting Dalvin Cook and Walker on bye. Non-PPR. I'm going Jamal Williams over Swift, and I'm going Pacheco. You're starting Cook, so go Pacheco and Jamal Williams. Tim Shields, Jameson Williams. And no worries. T, what's going on? Damon Luce, what's going on? Samuel, Campbell, Duvernay, Wandale, Nico, Landry at wide receiver 2, full PPR. I'm going one of Campbell or Samuel, and I think Samuel is safer, but Campbell, I think Campbell has a little bit higher upside. But Samuel's the safe one. All right, follow up. You also have D-Hop. Should I roll with him in the or slot in Jacoby? And pop in everything if things go south. So you got Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins That's tough this week. So you have D-Hop, and you can pop in Elijah Mitchell if things go south. And then you have Keenan Allen, and the only person you could slot him in for is DeAndre Carter, which I'm not really advocating. So put D-Hop in there, and then swerve to Elijah Mitchell if you need to. And then, honestly, at that point, I think I would just go Jacoby Myers and sit Keenan Allen, because I don't want to have to play DeAndre Carter. But best of luck, man. I hope you win this week. And sorry you got to deal with so many up-in-the-air situations. Johnny Gumbo, you are very welcome. Dark Match Gaming, I don't feel good about Devontae this week. Is that a dumb feeling? I mean, he's dealing with an abdomen injury. He has been a little bit more up and down. But you got to play him if you have him. He's the type of guy where it's just like you're playing Devontae Adams if you have Devontae Adams. No question. Moja Sem, full PPR, Olave, Ayuk, Rondale Moore, Paris Campbell. Am I picking one? If I'm picking one, floor play Rondale, ceiling play Ayuk. And Ayuk has some floor viability as well. Rondale's been great, and Ayuk have been great over the past few weeks. Olave's been in a little bit of a slump, and Paris Campbell, I'm still hesitant to trust him because it's Paris Campbell. So it's a choice between Rondale Moore and Ayuk. And, yeah, in standard, it's Ayuk. In half PPR, it's Ayuk. In full PPR, it's Rondale. Mike P, what's the plan with Hollywood Brown? I think he's good to go, right? I think he's good to go. He participated in Thursday's practice, didn't take part in all the individual drills. Apparently looked healthy. There's no definitive answer yet, and he's playing on Monday, so I don't know if you can trust him. We've seen players this year look like they're gonna play and then get, sat down at the last minute. That's happened multiple times. So, you have to be wary of that with Hollywood. But he's trending towards playing because he practiced, but we've seen things go the other way before. And Sad J, likewise, man, thank you very much for chilling. Tommy Talaga, full PPR, Slayton, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, pick 2. Devonta Smith and Slayton. And happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. Thanks for chilling. Bobby Lee Jr., full PPR, flex, Terrace Marshall, Ben Skowronek, Justin Watson, or Van Jefferson. That's a bunch of players, man. Is it Ben Skowronek? Wow. I mean, it's Ben. I think it's Ben Skowronek, and Terrace Marshall's kind of your upside play, I guess. Or maybe it's Van Jefferson. Yeah, I think it's Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson should get an uptick in targets, and he's a home run hitter. Ben Skowronek, he's been decently targeted all year. Will be more heavily targeted because he is kind of that get the ball out quick receiver, right? But Van Jefferson can kind of do it all. He can do the deep threat if they can keep the defense off the quarterback for that long. But he's also a wide receiver that will have to operate in the middle of the field now because no Cooper, right? So Van Jefferson. Brandon Peralta, start 1. Deontay Johnson, Tyler Boyd, Michael Pittman, or Mike Williams. I feel comfortable in Mike Williams this week. If you don't feel comfortable in Mike Williams, then I think you can fire up Pittman. And honestly, I think that's just the safe play, even though, and he's going up against Darius Slay in the Eagles, so you have to keep that in the equation here. It's really preferential. If you don't want to play the injury game the questionable game, questionable tag, all that. Just go with Michael Pittman. If you're willing to play that game, then go Mike Williams. You may have to find a suitable swerve, right? But I think Mike Williams is a little bit more set up to play than a Keenan Allen. So I feel more confident in Mike Williams than I do Keenan Allen. I think I'm going Mike Williams here, but if you're at all hesitant and don't see a solid pivot for Mike Williams, if in any chance he doesn't play, then just go Michael Pittman. And Baby Santa, good luck. Good luck, man. We very much appreciate it. And Moja Sam, yeah, full PPR, pick one. So yeah, Rondale full PPR, Ayuk in any other situation. Nicholas Ferreira, Skoronek, or Jerick McKinnon. Skoronek. What has he done lately? I need to see what Skronek's been doing. He hasn't really been giving you anything. At least Jerick is giving you 8 targets a game over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, Jerick McKinnon. Denzel Barrett, Foreman, Patterson, Swift, JT, pick 3. Gabe or Landry. Gabe, and then pick 3. JT, you're playing him. Patterson, and then I think I go... I'm not a huge advocate of playing injured players. So because of that, and because Foreman has shown some boom weeks over the last 4 weeks, he only has 1 bust week, I think I'm going Foreman over Swift. JT, Patterson, Foreman. Tim Shields, Chase could practice next week. I hope he does. And Denzel Barrett, Gabe, Landry, Hollywood, AJ, pick 2. AJ and Gabe don't have to worry about the snow with Gabe, and AJ gets more targets because no Goddard, right? Tommy Talaga, how do you feel about Elijah Moore in the slot without Corey Davis? Honestly, I don't really think much about it at all. I think that's Braxton Berrios' job, and Elijah Moore is sitting on the bench more often than not. The 3 wide sets with no Corey Davis have been Denzel Mims, Garrett Wilson, and Braxton Berrios with a little bit of Elijah Moore thrown in. It's a head-scratching situation. I don't feel good about Elijah Moore, but he's way more talented than bench wide receiver should be. So that whole situation is just confounding. But I'm staying away from a fantasy perspective. So October 24, good to see you. You have Stevenson, Pearson, Cook starting, leaving Jamal Williams on the bench. Haven't really looked into his matchup this week. Start Tony over Devonta Smith. No, I'm not starting Tony over Devonta Smith, who, just like A.J. Brown, gets a boost from no Goddard in that offense and is playing a reeling Colts team. So Devonta Smith, even though it is closer than I would have thought this week, because Tony in his own right is a solid start this week for sure. And I like Jamal Williams. I'm leaving him on the bench if I have those pieces. It's just a tier break. Yasir Ahmed, start Keenan Allen or Mooney. I think I would just start Mooney. Like, he might be more of a wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 2 than Allen, if Allen is healthy. Because if Allen is healthy, he's a high-end wide receiver 2. But that's a huge question. And considering the difference between those two are kind of minimal this week in my rankings, I think I would just go Mooney. And then you don't have to worry about, what happens if he doesn't play and all that. You don't have to swerve. You can just set it and forget it. Damon Lewis, Pickens, or Campbell, wide receiver, full PPR, Pickens. Or London, Pickens. In that situation, I'm going Pickens. Tim Shields, rate my roster, full PPR, 3 wide receivers, and flex, Herbert, Watson, Godwin, Chase, Justin Jefferson, Tony, Campbell, Monty, Jeff Wilson, Michael Carter, Kenneth Walker, Moreau, Goddard, Deontay, Jets, Gano. Solid roster, man. Very solid roster. Got 2 good quarterbacks, got a couple of good wide receivers, hoping that Chase comes back sooner than later. Montgomery gets an uptick. Jeff Wilson has been getting an uptick. You got Kenneth Walker. You got 2 good tight ends, and it does look like Goddard's coming back this year. And you got Deontay as your last wide receiver on your bench. I think you're looking good. You're fine. And Stephen Grease, throw your trade question in the chat. We'll get to it. Hartnell down. Greg Dulcich or David Njoku. Full PPR. Greg Dulcich. So, Toby, you're very welcome. Denzel Barrett, you are very welcome. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Hope you finish your year great. And I hope that you win all your leagues, man. Shade 712 or 721, can't read. Standard, Greg Dulcich or Cole Kmet. I think I go Dulcich. And Buggy MC SOT, Rondale, Nico, or Garrett Wilson. What's the format? In standard, Garrett Wilson. In I think I just go Garrett Wilson here. Yep. And trade question for Steven, offering you DK Metcalf for Jeff Wilson. You have Eckler, Barkley, Cordell Patterson, Jeff Wilson, and Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Lazard, and Rondale Moore. I would do that. You need a little bit of wide receiver help. You're not certain on Mike Williams, even though it does look like he's coming back. Christian Watson's been taking all of Lazard's upside recently, and Gabe Davis is so boomer bust, you don't know whether he's going to give you a 3-point week or a 30-point week. So you need a little bit of a stability there. And with Eckler, Barkley, and Cordell Patterson, you run 3 deep at running back, so you're solid. So I'd be willing to make that deal. For sure. And you're giving up an RB2 for a wide receiver 1. So that's a win, Steven. Wagataga, Brandon Cooks or Josh Palmer, full PPR. I think here I go Brandon Cooks, even though I'm not the biggest Brandon Cooks fan of this season. In seasons past, been a huge fan. He just hasn't showed me much this year, and that most of that, falls upon Davis Mills, to be honest with you. But I think I go Brandon Cooks over Josh Palmer. And Buggy, that's standard, so I'm going Garrett Wilson for sure. Crunchy Burps, I like that name. It's a funny profile pic. Have PPR, start 1, Kyron Williams, Tyler Algier, or Isaiah McKenzie. Algier, I think. Denzel Barrett, David Njoku, Tyler Conklin, or Moreau. Pick 1. I think I go Moreau. Yeah. Unless I have one of those a higher upside option. Is it Juwan Johnson out there? Because he has been super underrated at the tight end position, and I'm a fan of his. Other than that, though, I think Foster Moreau's about as safe a low-end tight end 1 option this week as you can get. And Steven, you are very welcome. Very welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you have any more questions, let us know. And we are at 11:30. Nick is still dealing with some work things, I believe. So I don't know if he's gonna be joining us. We'll see. Regardless, if you have any more questions to throw my way, let me know. If you have any questions for the Kicker Whisperer that are kicker related, throw them in the Discord and he can get to them, I think, before kickoff. Just while I'm waiting for a few more questions to come through. If you guys are at all interested in another few live streams with us a week, you can join as a member to our YouTube channel. 99 cents gets you 2 extra streams a week, 8 extra streams a month, 1 with me, 1 with Nick, throughout the week. So a little added benefit for you guys for only 99 cents a month, less than a pack of gum. I was gonna say a cup of coffee. Coffee's getting expensive. So less than a pack of gum a month. You can get 8 extra streams with us and get all your questions answered. And depending on the tier that you buy into, you can also get things like one-on-one team evaluations where we talk through with you what the what your roadmap for your team should be for a good 25 to 30 minutes. And that's Keeper League, Dynasty League, Redraft League, whatever. And there's a couple other perks in there. So check that out. If you guys aren't linked into the Discord, I believe the Discord is the third link in the description below. So check that out. Join in our Discord. Evergreen, completely free invite. And we're building a great community there. So check that out. Denzel Barrett Johnson is available. You have Everett, and he is hurt for today. Then I would swerve if you can get Juwan Johnson. And I need to make that move too, because I have Everett. Bear with me, y'all. I got to make my lineup switches too. I have Everett, and I need to swerve. Is he listed as out now? Nah, he's still questionable, and he probably will be up until closer to kickoff. Timothy Chan, should I trade away Debo and Patterson to get Keenan Allen and Connor? No. I do like Connor a little bit more than Patterson rest of season, but I mean, at least Debo's been playing and underperforming. Allen hasn't even been playing, and when he's gonna be playing, man, he could underperform. He could have a setback. Like I want Debo and Patterson. Apostrophe. Miles Sanders or Najee? I'm going Miles Sanders. And Damon Luce, Washington D at Houston or Giants at home against Detroit. In that situation, I am going Washington D at Houston. I think they have a good week this week. The Giants at Detroit, not too far behind, but I'd rather play the Cardinals. Or not the Cardinals, the Washington. Or you could go with the Chiefs. I would still rather Washington. LA can put up some points. Tim, somebody sacked Kittle for likely. Hey, I hope you're playing against them because that's a win for you. That's a win for you. And Miles Sanders or Kenyon Drake? I'm still going Miles Sanders. He hasn't had the boom weeks in recent weeks, but he's still as high an RB2 as you can get without being an RB1 on any given week. Yeah, I like Miles Sanders a lot. And Damon, I hope that helps. I would go Washington D. And yeah, I mean, I hate to run out of questions this quick. Do we have any more questions, y'all? Usually we like to go a little bit longer than only to 12:30. This makes the stream only an hour and 30 minutes. Usually we go a little bit longer than that. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. If I get no questions within the next 5 minutes, we'll see. But all right, here we go. Denzel Barrett, Dak or Herbert, Carr or Stafford? 2 different leagues. Dak. I think I'll go Dak for this game. How has Herbert been? I know Herbert didn't have the greatest start to the year, but how has Herbert been since maybe his ribs have gotten better? Yeah, he's still putting up floor weeks. I want Dak. And Carr or Stafford? I mean, I want Carr. I'm not playing Stafford. I want Carr. At least Carr has his wide receiver 1. I want Carr. New Era TB, Foreman or Najee? We got this question before. I think I'm going Foreman. Because Najee, I mean, yeah, he's not going to give you the 3-point floor, but he'll give you that 8-point floor with a 10-point ceiling. And Foreman at least gives you a 3-point floor with a 25-point ceiling. Najee just doesn't have that. He might not reach that ceiling in this week against the Ravens, Foreman, but I still think I'd rather play him. Mike Williams or Darnell Mooney? I think this is a tier break where even if he's questionable coming into the game, I want to be playing Mike Williams. So if it's a choice between them, I want Mike Williams. If it's a choice between Darnell Mooney and Keenan Allen, I'd rather have Darnell Mooney. But Mike Williams, I think, is going to be playing this week, so I want him in my lineup. Damon Luce, is Hollywood playing? If so, is he worth a flex spot? I don't know if he's playing. It's been kind of hush-hush on the Hollywood Brown side of things, and because it's on Monday, we won't know before kickoff. We won't know before 4 o'clock. So it's hard to say if he's a flex spot. If he was playing, he'd be a wide receiver 3. So he would be worth the flex spot, but it's kind of up in the air for him. It's kind of up in the air for this entire offense, with DeAndre Hopkins being a little banged up, questionable in his own right, and then Kyler Murray too. No Zach Ertz. Like, if this is a game to be playing Rondale, yo. Even if it is Colt McCoy going again. Denzel Barrett, Mike Williams, Hopkins, Sutton, Pittman, pick 2. Hopkins is tough, man. Usually I would just say Williams and Hopkins, but both of those guys are questionable right now. I know Mike Williams is expected to play. Hopkins, we have no news on. So I think just to err on the side of caution, I'd place... Is it Sutton or Pittman? Do I place Sutton or Pittman? To err on the side of caution, I think I'd just go Pittman. Pittman's playing Slay. Slay's been great at shutting people down. So yeah, Mike Williams and Pittman. Mike Williams and Pittman. Because Mike Williams, I think he plays, and when he plays, I don't know how much Keenan Allen plays, considering last time they played him, he just got injured again. So it might be more of a workload for Mike Williams, and I don't want to play the DeAndre Hopkins game this week if I don't have a solid swerve. And between Sutton or Pittman, I think I go Pittman. And that's probably just preferential because I prefer the player. That's not even like analytically driven. So yeah, Mike Williams and Pittman. James Westbrook got offered Aaron Jones and Debo for CMC. Which side are you on? Because I want the Aaron Jones Debo side. A new era. Hey, no worries, man. Justin Fields or Justin Herbert this week. I'm going Justin Fields. Easy. Juan Polito. Which 2 should you use? Full PPR. McKinnon, Robinson, Drake, Elliott, and Patterson. This week, Kenyon Drake is a solid play. And this week, I would play Patterson over Elliott, Robinson, and McKinnon. So, Drake and Patterson. Nick Allen, Singletary, Foreman, Kenyon Drake for the flex, half PPR. Foreman, you have to worry about him having a floor week against the Ravens. Singletary is, he's always, he's been really good in stretches. He overachieves more often than not, but I'm just worried about the amount of opportunities that he has been getting. Can perform like an RB2, a high-end RB2. I think I just go Kenyon Drake, though, just because at any point in time, the Bills can go away from the run altogether. And the Ravens, that's their bread and butter. So, even if they're down, they're not really going away from the run game all that much. So I think I go Kenyon Drake this week. And New Era TB doesn't have to be the last one. Thanks for chilling. I would go Dulcich. Deron Cheese, Montgomery, or Mooney in my flex. Montgomery for sure. Emi Atigbe, Darius Slayton, or Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson for sure. Patriots D or Washington D. We got this question earlier, and I went Washington. Playing Houston versus Patriots playing the Jets. I think I would rather just Houston's, the much worse offense. And while Patriots are the much better defense over Washington, Washington's been very opportunistic this year and just plays the much worst offense in Houston. So I'm going Washington there. And thoughts on playing George Pickens and thoughts on sitting Josh Palmer. Are those two connected? Are you playing, is the question, Pickens or Palmer? Or are they completely separate questions there? Thoughts on playing Pickens? I think he's the wide receiver 1 in this offense. I don't know how valuable that is. Like, the wide receiver 1 in a given offense should have the chance to be a wide receiver 1 on the week. I don't think that's this offense. He has a chance to be a wide receiver 2 on the week. and I'm playing him over a lot of players. But I'm higher on Pickens, the talent, than Pickens on what I think he can do week to week over the next few weeks, if that makes sense. And sit Josh Palmer, only if we get news approaching 8 o'clock that both of the players ahead of him are going to be playing. If Allen and Williams are going to be playing, then you can sit Josh Palmer. And even then, like, if Gerald Everett isn't playing, then Palmer might have some viability. So he's somebody you can sit, but he's also a hold. I'm not dropping him by any means because he still has some utility. James Westbrook made the trade. You were just seeing if you were stupid. Fair enough. Which side did you get? Patrick Haas, what's going on? Apostrophe Mike Williams or Jacoby Myers? Mike Williams. Bazinga Lover 2222. Should I start Swift or Najee? I think at that point you start the healthy guy. Like, I like Swift a lot, but I think at that point you just start Najee because I think he's healthier. I'm not certain though. Like, Swift can break open the game on any given play. I don't think Najee's that type of back. But also how much run does Swift play? Being banged up in his own right. I think he hasn't cleared like 33% of snaps since coming back from the injury. So you have to be wary there. I think I'm just playing Najee. Caden Casimino. Sorry about that. Butchering last names today. Mike Williams or Donta Foreman PPR. Ooh, I think I just go Mike Williams. And Jared Goff or Jimmy G. Hands down. Damon Luce, Murray or Foreman? Which Murray is this? Is that Latavius? It's Foreman for sure. If that's Latavius Murray, I'm going Foreman for sure. Emmy, completely separate. There. All right. Thoughts on playing George Pickens? I think he has wide receiver 2 upside every time he's playing, but don't expect much than mid-tier wide receiver 2 upside. And he could goose egg for you if it just goes the other way. And Palmer, like him, probably sitting him this week, unless I get some bad news and I was rostering Mike Williams or Keenan Allen or something like that. Duran Cheese, we're not worried about Amari Cooper in the snow because there is no snow because Detroit plays in the dome. So I'm not worried about Amari Cooper in the snow. Edward Zeng, choose one flex, DJ Moore, Rondale Moore, Brian Robinson, or Mooney. Rondale Moore with D-Hop questionable and Hollywood questionable and no Zach Ertz and Eno Benjamin off the team. Like, Rondale. Patrick Haas need 2 running back and 2 flexes out of Mixon, Singletary, Najee, Pacheco, Gabe Davis, Tony, and Mike Williams. 2 running backs, Mixon for sure. And then Pacheco, Mike Williams in one of the flexes, and Tony. That's tough. I want to play Gabe Davis. But yeah, Mike Williams and Tony, I think. Or Mike Williams and Gabe Davis. The thing is, with Mike Williams, it's tough because if he doesn't play, yes, you can swerve to Tony, but if Tony's already in your flex, then you can't swerve to anybody, right? So maybe the best thing to do would be Mixon, Pacheco, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, knowing that Davis and Tony have similar upside. And then if Mike Williams doesn't play, you can throw Tony in for Mike Williams. Whereas if you just play Mike Williams and Tony, you can't swerve to anybody if Mike Williams is out in your flex, right? So yeah, I think you play Mike Williams and Gabe Davis and leave Tony in as the swing play should Mike Williams not play, and then you play Mixon and Pacheco. James Westbrook, Jones and Debo. All right. I like that side. Good job. Patrick Haas helping out. Good to see. Latavius, it was Latavius. Word. Thoughts on Shark today? It's windy for that game. Detroit is playing. First week back. There's no Josh Reynolds in this game. No, obviously, TJ Hawk. So he could be open for some more targets down the field, but it also could be harder to link up on those long bomb targets that usually go Sharks' way, or at least that he's known for. So he is boom bust. He's a boom bust wide receiver 3. He could completely bust, but he could get you a decent week. Denzel Barrett, any boom players you got for this week? Yeah, those Chiefs. Tony, Pacheco. Antonio Gibson's a little bit of a boom week this week because no J.D. McKissick. Who else is a boom week guy? Garrett Wilson, no Corey Davis. He's a boom week guy. Devonta Smith, no Dallas Goedert. He's not a boom week guy. He's a boom month guy. Juwan Johnson, he's a favorite of mine right now. He's a boom player over the past 4 weeks and think that continues and is not quarterback dependent, so whoever they throw in there. So yeah, a couple of boom players this week. Tim Shields, I hope they trade Deontay. Hey, trade deadline's passed, so can't count on that, but he is a good receiver. He just needs better quarterback play. And Matt Canada is just terrible. Fortune, good to see you. Start 2 Deontay, DeAndre, Schultz, DJ Moore. I think I'm starting Schultz where I can, and I have no faith in DJ Moore with Baker Mayfield. I have very little faith in Deontay with Pickett. So I think I go Swift, hoping that he gets me a low-end RB2 week. And Schultz is great. Pissed I dropped him. But there you go. Yeah. Swift and Schultz. Jay Lindo, McKinnon or London, full PPR. McKinnon's been getting more targets than London, right? I think I go McKinnon, and that's crazy, right? I think I go McKinnon. What has London done? Had a decent week last week. 6 targets, 5 receptions, scored a touchdown, 38 yards though. His most yardage since week 3 was 54 on 3 targets. You look at what he did prior to that 12-point game against Carolina, 1.5 point, 1.5 point, 5.2 point. I think I go Jerick McKinnon and hope for another 8-target week and hope that CEH continues to get very little work. Can't believe McKinnon over London, but I think I'm recommending that. Is Hopkins playing? We don't know for certain. Dice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Connor's matchup at the Niners or Drake's juicy matchup at Carolina, full PPR. Tier break for me, I'm going Connor. It's a tougher matchup, but historically, Cardinals running backs don't have to be efficient. They still get touchdowns. That was Connor last season. That was Connor at times this year. I think 2 weeks ago, he had a 2-touchdown game. I'm going Connor. Drake does have a juicy matchup there. Ideally, I want to play both if I have to choose Connor. Tier break. Patrick, you were thinking Mixon at RB1, Singletary at RB2. That way you have the options of Najee at, for Tony and Pacheco tonight at the flex, depending on the score. You kind of want to wait a week and watch Mike Williams before you throw him in there. Fair. Very fair. If that's the way you want to play it, then go for it. You have good options to do that with. None of those guys are scrubs to where it's like, nah, you definitely got to play Mike Williams, right? So if you want to play it that way, then go for it. I just think I would still try to play Mike Williams, and then if I have to swerve, I have to swerve. Keenan, Mike Williams, or Olave? Olave has been a low-end wide receiver 2 for the past, I want to say, month. So I think I go Mike Williams. I think Landry coming into the fold affects Olave to a certain extent. I think Juwan Johnson getting more of a role in this offense affects Olave to a certain extent, because when Olave was really going off, he was getting 14 and 13 targets a week. That's gone down to 7 or 8 with these other players in this offense getting more work. So I think I go Mike Williams. Nick Outdoors 44, Sanders, Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, have to bench 1, and go with a hurt D-Hop and switch to Rondale Moore. Just start Sutton. I would go with a hurt D-Hop and then swerve to Rondale if I need to, because I think Rondale has pretty close to a Sutton-like ceiling this week. And if you have to bench one, I'm benching Brian Robinson. Xavier Dubs, my camera that I normally stream with is broken, and I got another one on order, but it's eBay, so that's always a little bit hit or miss with the tracking and all that. So hopefully it's going to get here soon and I'll be back on the screen. And Nick is working today, so I don't think he's going to be joining us for this one. What's good with D-Hop? Do you think he's playing? I have no idea. I can't say for certain. I wish I had more of a definitive answer to get you. Can't say for certain. Richie Rich, high winds in New York. Should I still start Daniel Jones and Gano today? Mills, Carr, Heineke are the best available. I mean, Daniel Jones, the reason why you're playing Daniel Jones is because he has viability with his legs. It's not because of his arm. I don't think he's thrown for over 220 passing yards all season. But he's still putting up decent weeks because dump offs to Saquon Barkley, and he's running a little bit with his legs. That's what has gotten him to the QB 16 over 10 weeks. Last week, 18 fantasy points, only passed 17 times for 197 yards. Just happened to score 2 touchdowns and rush 5 times with his legs. I think he can do that again against Detroit, even though it's windy. I'm fine with starting Daniel Jones. Dicker the kicker, Danzel, over Bass and Jake. See, that's why I wish Nick would be in here with the kicker whispering that he does. I think I would just start Bass, man. Mark, full PPR, you have Justin Fields. Do I start Komet or Njoku at tight end? Komet. Roll with the stack. Zane the Legend, start Hayden Hurst or Foster Moreau. I'm starting Foster Moreau. I like Hayden Hurst, though, too. I just think I'm starting Foster Moreau here. Foster Moreau. Iron, good to see you. Mark, full PPR. Do I start Josh Palmer or Drake London? Yuck. I think you start Josh Palmer over Drake London again. I don't feel confident about it, but you're hoping that Keenan Allen's on a pitch count and Gerald Everett doesn't play, right? So Josh Palmer. Keenan, Andy Dalton also hurts his upside so much. Yeah, he does. Air it out, Jameis will help to a certain extent when he comes back if he gets reinserted into the lineup. Iron never lies. Do I start Madison or Gainwell? And non-PPR, Najee or Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams. And Madison or Gainwell? Gainwell hasn't gotten a ton of work, but I think he had one of his decent games within the last 2 weeks. Yeah, 11 points against Houston. Tougher matchup against Washington last week. But he gets an easier matchup against Indianapolis. I think you're hoping he scores a TD, but I think I would go Gainwell over Madison because I think Gainwell just has more of a role even when Cook is healthy, or even when the RB1 in his offense is healthy. Yeah, Gainwell. Not confident he's going to give me much, though. Denzel Barrett, Drake or Foreman? Foreman. David Thomas, Brian Robinson, Allen Robinson, Curtis Samuel, flex play full PPR. Curtis Samuel. Full PPR, flex play, Curtis Samuel. Emi Atigbe playing Mark Andrews over Komet. Would weather be a factor here? No, I mean, you're starting your studs. Andrews is the tight end 2, and Komet has had a hot 2-game stretch. I'm playing the overall tight end 2 over somebody who has had a hot 2-game stretch every week. Iron, do I start DeAndre Carter over Gainwell and Madison? Damn injuries. DeAndre Carter? Who else is out there, Iron? Who else is out there? Xavier Dubs, do I start Brian Robinson or Gibby this week? Gibby. Bree-Rob's going to get work, but he's going to average 3 yards per carry and give you 26 attempts for 80 yards, and you're hoping he falls into the end zone so he doesn't give you 8 points. Gibson can get you 8 points on 1 red zone carry and 1 reception. And with no J.D. McKissick this week, Gibson's higher upside. And I don't care about them attempts if he's only going to average 3 yards per carry. You know what I mean? Unless he's getting 40 attempts, it doesn't matter. Keenan, thoughts on the Niners defense this week? I mean, they're going to be keying in on a hurt offense, right? So they're going to be good this week. D-Hop questionable, Hollywood questionable, Kyler questionable, no Zach Ertz. It's a solid matchup. Ling, Jamal, or Pittman? What's your format? I think I go Jamal. I think he's safer. Denzel Barrett has just been ruled. Gus and Andrews is out. Andrews is out for today. Damn. Well then, hey, the guy's not crazy for starting Isaiah Likely. Interesting. Hey, everybody out there. Andrews out for today. Mark, full PPR, you have Justin Fields. Yes, you start Komet. Start Komet. And Palmer or Drake London, I go Palmer. Tiffany Harold, thanks for joining us. Pick 2, Saquon, Gibson, Sanders, Williams, and Taylor. I mean, very good options to choose from. I think I go Saquon and Taylor. Taylor had a good week finally for the first week last week. Saquon's been killing it all season. But you got a great bench of running backs there. Very solid. I'm jealous. I'm gonna be real. William Sampson, Keenan Allen, or Wan'Dale Robinson, 14 team. If it's 14 team, you probably don't have very many options to swerve to. I think I go Wan'Dale, and I'm not really expecting much. Or do I just go Keenan and accept that it might be a dud, but he could give you a wide receiver 2 week? I think I just go Wan'Dale because I know he's starting and I want some kind of points. I'm really not confident in Keenan Allen. That's the guy I need to see a week from. Mike Lacor, Gibson, Brian Robinson, or Pollard? I'm going Pollard. Zane the Legend. They ruled Andrews in. Let me look at this. I didn't. Let me see about Andrews real quick. Is there anything? Let me see. Yeah, he's active. Mark Andrews, 27 minutes ago. He's officially active. So, yeah. Mark Andrews is in. Everybody. Mark Andrews is in. Sean Boyd, Jets or Ravens defense? I think the Ravens defense might be the defense to own this week. The defense won this week against Carolina. So I'm going Ravens, even though the Jets are a solid stream too. I want both of them on my team, and I want to be switching between the two for the rest of the year. Harrison Ryman, do I flex Jacoby Myers or Gabe Davis? Gabe Davis. And Nemo, Cameron Dicker was in the dome, or Folk in 15-mile-an-hour winds. Folk has just been the better kicker. But again, I'm not the kicker whisperer. And Xavier's helping out. Sean Boy helping out. Xavier, yep. New Era TB. Andrews is playing, so never mind. Iron. You can play Madison Gainwell Carter or Treston Ebner or pick up Justin Watson and play him. So, yeah, I think I'd just go Gainwell. I'm not super... I don't expect a whole lot, but I think I'd just go Gainwell. Bradley Roach, 2 questions. Greg Dulcich or Kyle Pitts? Paris Campbell, Rondale, and Kadarius Toney pick 2. So, Greg Dulcich, and then Moore and Toney in PPR. For sure. Jocelyn Fox, thanks for joining us. Full PPR, Pollard or Montgomery? This is tough. This is actually tough because Montgomery gets no Khalil Herbert, but Pollard has been clearing away the RB1 on the on a per touch basis on the year, but gets Zeke back into the fold. So I think it is Montgomery, but they're really close, and I kind of want to try to find a way to play both. But I think the easy answer is just Montgomery. And then in an ascending offense with Fields at the helm, they're kind of figuring it out. And now there's no Herbert. Owen Willset, your opponent has Lamar Jackson and you have Mark Andrews. Do I start Mark Andrews and let my opponent rack up? Yeah. If you can get one of your opponent's weapons to backfire, then do it. And yeah, give me a sec. I just it looks like Nick is in here. All right. Yes. What's going on, bro?
Yo.
What's up?
What's happening? Sorry I'm coming in super late. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday morning. I had to hop on for some work stuff.
It's all good. We're almost wrapping up here.
I see that we're almost at the end of the chat.
I got a doctor's appointment I scheduled on football Sunday like an idiot. So I gotta have a hard stop at some point coming up pretty soon. But
okay.
We still got a few more questions here. We are right at the bottom.
Okay.
Owen Willset or Whitset. Sorry about that. I just said just play Andrews. Just play Andrews.
You play Andrews.
Yeah,
you play Andrews. He's in, he's active. I know it feels dicey right now with him because he exited the last game that he played early due to injury, but like you got to rock with him if he's in the lineup.
And Tiffany Harrell, Gallup or Campbell? Gallup has done absolutely nothing, and Campbell has been good over the past 4 weeks. I think I'd go Campbell.
Yeah, Gallup hasn't done nothing, but Campbell has definitely been better.
It's been close to nothing.
It's not been much. He has a touchdown, I think, on the season, but yeah.
One in his first week.
Yeah.
And
Campbell's
even then,
been better.
9 fantasy points.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was his first game.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it's been like he's been slow. He's still coming back from the injury. He's still working his way back from the torn ACL. You can't expect guys to do well that quickly, but to that point, then just play the dude who is healthy. Play Campbell.
Yeah, he's been overachieving for the past 5 weeks, and I think that might continue because this offense is still weirdly trying to figure itself out. And Slay could just lock down Pittman, and then it's Paris Campbell all day. So Campbell and Ling
Possibly.
Jamal or Pittman. I believe I answered this question before, and I said Jamal because I like Pittman, but this week I am worried about Slay. And Jamal's been a borderline RB1 all year.
Yeah, I mean, Slay did get kind of burned by Terry McLaurin last week. So, I mean, maybe he bounces back. I
still think I'd just play the RB15 on the year.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And we do got to rapid fire a little bit because I am at a little bit of a crunch time here. Chuba worth picking up.
No.
I would rather keep Nico.
Yeah, keep Nico.
I'm starting Isaiah Pacheco as a low-end RB2 with high-end RB2 upside this week, Todd.
Yeah, should be fine.
Anthony Garcia, full PPR, lost Cup, and D-Hop. A couple hit replacement is Kadarius Toney. D-Hop, sit. Do I play Pickens or Gabe Davis?
I'd play Gabe over Toney.
but you lost Cup and D-Hop. Your Cup replacement is Tony, so you're playing Tony and Gabe.
You didn't. Was DeAndre Hopkins ruled out?
He's questionable, and I don't have any definitive news on him.
I'm waiting for DeAndre Hopkins, Anthony. Like, I'll pick up Greg Dortch if I have to.
All right, there you go.
I seriously, I would rather wait on Hopkins. He got in limited sessions on Friday and Saturday as far as practice. I know it's dicey on a Monday night, but you're talking about a stud.
All right, go for it.
Talking
Go for
about
it.
Hopkins.
Go for it.
I would play Davis for the upside against the Browns. I would play Davis over Tony, and I would wait on Hopkins because Hopkins is worth it. Hopkins has earned the right to wait for him on Monday night. You said you need a win this week. Rock with your stud. If you have to pivot to Greg Dortch, I'm sorry, but Hopkins is worth, for me, waiting on. If you don't want to wait on him, fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's what I would do.
All right. And again, rapid fire here because I do got to leave.
Okay.
Anthony Garcia got that question. Jacob Ander, I'm going Mooney pretty easily.
Over Deontay, yes.
Tony Kamaj, I'm going Garrett Wilson again pretty easily.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going Amari Cooper over Swift. Clap nuts. Love that name.
Amari Cooper.
Amari. Anthony, need a win this week to secure the 1 seed. Do I play it safe with Hurts or gamble with Fields? You can't go wrong with either, dude. I mean, you're choosing between the QB2 and the QB3 right now.
Yeah.
Fields.
Hurts lost Goddard, but has been better and has better weapons. I think I keep rocking with Hurts. Fields is super enticing though.
I can't he's been the QB1 back-to-back weeks. Before that he was the QB5 back-to-back weeks, and before that he was the QB8 in back-to-back weeks. I think I'm just riding with Fields.
Go with the upside.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Okay. You could go. You should not go wrong with either one.
No. Nemo, good to see you. And Bands, is Juwan Johnson available? Is Foster Moreau available? I'd go either of those guys over McBride or Taysom Hill. If I have to start either one of those guys, if they're my only option, I'm going Taysom. Need to see it from McBride first.
Yeah.
And Danzel's got the kicker question for you, and so does Nemo.
Kicker. Who's he even kicking for right now? I don't even know who he's kicking for right now.
And,
is it?
I do have to leave in about 8 minutes. So just
okay. Right. Got you. I got you. He's kicking for the Chargers. I mean, he's been consistent the past couple of weeks. I mean, I guess you can roll the dice on him. He's just not very established. So it's there's not a ton of, yes, the situation is fine. He's playing in LA, no weather concerns. I get that. I guess he's fine. Yeah, I guess he's fine. The situation is good enough.
And Nemo's kicker question, because I am not the whisperer. Are you going Folk or Dicker?
I guess Folk, but it doesn't feel great. It feels very dicey to go with Folk right now. But he has been good and he knows how to kick in that stadium. So I guess Folk. I am not super confident about him though with that wind. 20 miles per hour is a lot. I guess it's not a death sentence like 40 miles per hour are, but it's still a lot. That is concerning. He's very good. But this situation kind of stinks.
Yeah. There you go. Dear Co, have PPR start one running back and one flex. I'm starting Pacheco and Tony. Yeah. That's not hard for me.
Najee and Tony. I would go Najee. I would go Najee over Pacheco. We're split.
All right. Ebner or I guess Claypool or Josh Palmer. Palmer, because Claypool hasn't done anything.
I guess Palmer. Claypool hasn't really done anything.
And if I'm choosing a handcuff between Ebner and Algier, I want Algier because he's a handcuff for the rest of the year. Ebner's a handcuff for the next 4 games.
Yeah, Algier.
And Tony, I'm going Fields this week. And between Amari and Garrett Wilson's just a tier break, I'm going Amari.
Cooper
against a bad Bills secondary right now.
Yeah, Cooper has earned that right to fire him up as the vet. And they're going to have to throw all day.
Yep. And then, yeah, I'm going Fields over basically anybody not named Josh Allen at this point.
Jesus. That's insane. But whatever.
He's earned it. He's earned it.
He's been outrageous these past couple of weeks. So
he has not had a QB outside of a QB 8 week in the last 6 weeks. Dude's incredible. No. Fields. Is Elijah Moore worth an ad? I mean, no.
No. He's running as the wide receiver 4 on the depth chart right now.
And Durko, I'm absolutely flexing Ayuk over Algier.
Ayuk, no question. No question.
But you guys, I am going to wrap this up. Again, thanks for chilling with us today. Thanks for all the supers. Thanks for all the subs. Thanks for all the questions. Loved hanging with you. TS full PPR. I'm going Jamal Williams over Brian Robinson.
And I'm going Brian Robinson over Mike Williams. I don't like messing around with players first week back from an injury, but that's just me.
And I guess floor play Brian Robinson in the flex, ceiling play Mike Williams.
Sure.
And wait for D-Hop or play St. Brown. I guess
just play Amon-Ra.
That's a good enough swerve to where you don't have to worry about it.
At least he's healthy. Just play Amon-Ra.
Yep.
Iron.
Yep. And Tony Pacheco or J-Rob Pacheco.
Pacheco. Yeah.
But, hey,
I'll be available in the Discord. Again, third link in the description of this video.
Yep.
John's got to run. I'll be available in the Discord if there are any last-minute questions this week since I had to join a little bit late.
I hope everybody has a good Sunday. I hope everybody enjoys watching football. Hopefully I'll get back in time to be able to watch a little bit of that Bills game. And I'll see you on Tuesday, hopefully with a new camera.
Nice. Enjoy the football, everybody.
Peace, y'all.